China's Yunnan province, severe floods have recently caused devastating damage, ravaging both urban centers and rural areas. Yunnan is known for its mountains and dense river systems, but this very geography makes the province especially vulnerable to heavy rainfall. When the rain pours down, water rushes from the steep slopes, quickly turning valleys and towns into raging torrents that sweep everything away. This disaster once again exposes the fragility of human settlements when confronted with the raw force of nature. The steep terrain of Yunnan makes rainwater accumulation on the mountains particularly dangerous. As it descends, the water carries soil and rocks, surging into rivers, raising water levels, and submerging entire low-lying regions. Communities living near rivers have suffered the heaviest impact. Walls of water and mud swept away cars, homes, and vital infrastructure. Residents had little time to react. The floods rose suddenly and violently, forcing thousands of people to abandon their belongings and flee for their lives in mere moments. In the cities, chaos unfolded just as severely. Streets turned into rivers, vehicles were trapped, and underground facilities were submerged. Countless businesses and apartment complexes were inundated, prompting mass evacuations. Rescue teams deployed boats, rafts, and heavy machinery to reach stranded residents. Yet the fierce currents made rescue efforts extremely difficult. The crisis raises urgent questions. Are Yunnan's cities truly equipped with the flood defenses and drainage systems needed to withstand disasters of this scale? In the countryside, the destruction was even more heartbreaking. Vast rice fields and vegetable farms were buried under layers of mud and water, erasing months of hard work. Livestock drowned, and fragile rural houses collapsed under the pressure of rising waters. For many farming families, losing their crops means losing their livelihoods. In remote villages, landslides destroyed or blocked roads, making rescue operations nearly impossible. Transportation across the province was paralyzed. Major highways and railways were submerged or severely damaged. Flights were canceled due to safety concerns. Bridges, tunnels, and key transport arteries were weakened by rushing waters, cutting off vital supply routes. The disaster has laid bare the vulnerability of infrastructure when faced with floods of such magnitude. Tens of thousands of families were forced to abandon their homes, crowding into temporary shelters in schools and community halls. Survivors described the terror of waters rising with astonishing speed, leaving no time to save their possessions. Beyond material losses, the psychological toll has been immense, with uncertainty hanging heavily over the recovery ahead. Authorities moved quickly, deploying rescue teams, medical staff, and emergency supplies. Shelters were set up, providing food, clean water, and medicine. Engineers worked tirelessly to restore electricity, reinforce embankments, and clear blocked drainage systems. Yet despite these efforts, the overwhelming scale of the floods turned relief into a race against time, with many communities still waiting for help to arrive. Experts point to several causes behind Yunnan's escalating flood risks. Deforestation has stripped away natural barriers against runoff. Rapid urbanization near rivers has increased exposure to flooding. And above all, climate change has intensified rainfall patterns, making storms more unpredictable and more destructive. Flooding is no longer just a natural occurrence, but a long-term crisis demanding sustainable solutions.
这个太吓人了。
The road to recovery will be long and arduous. Homes must be rebuilt. Roads must be restored. Farmland must be rehabilitated before it can be sown again. Experts emphasize that Yunnan must make major investments in modern flood control systems, from levees and reservoirs to advanced drainage networks. At the same time, communities must be equipped with disaster awareness and response training to react swiftly when catastrophe strikes. Without such long-term measures, Yunnan risks remaining trapped in a vicious cycle: disaster, recovery, and disaster again. Yet amid loss, the solidarity and resilience of Yunnan's people shine brightly. Families share meals and shelter with one another. Volunteers join professionals to clear mud, remove debris, and help with rescues. Compassion, kindness, and community spirit have become the foundation that helps people endure. These acts remind us that even in the darkest times, human strength and unity can prevail. The floods in Yunnan are not just a natural disaster, but also a stark warning. They reveal nature's overwhelming force, the fragility of infrastructure, and the urgent need to adapt to a changing climate. Beyond immediate relief, the long-term goal must be to build safer, more resilient communities, ready to withstand the challenges of the future. Thank you for following this report. Stay safe, stay informed, and keep the people of Yunnan in your thoughts during this difficult time. A massive undersea earthquake measuring 8.7 on the Richter scale struck off the eastern coast of Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula in the early hours of July 30, 2025.
Господи, боже мой!
The violent tremor sent powerful shockwaves reverberating across the Pacific Ocean, triggering widespread tsunami warnings and forcing emergency evacuation orders in several countries along the Pacific Rim. The event, which unfolded before dawn, has been described by seismologists as one of the most powerful earthquakes to strike Russian territory in modern history, prompting an urgent and coordinated international emergency response. According to preliminary data from the United States Geological Survey, USGS, and Russia's Geophysical Service, the earthquake's epicenter was located roughly 136 kilometers southeast of Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, a city of over 160,000 residents that serves as the administrative hub of Kamchatka Krai. The quake struck at a depth of about 19 kilometers, shallow in geological terms, allowing a significant release of energy into the surrounding ocean. Experts warned that this shallow depth amplified the risk of tsunami generation, with the potential to send destructive waves racing across vast stretches of the Pacific. Witnesses reported that the main tremor lasted over a minute, violently shaking buildings, toppling furniture, and cutting off communications in parts of the region. Video clips rapidly spread on Russian and international social media, showing chandeliers swinging wildly, household items crashing to the floor, and terrified residents scrambling out of their homes in the pre-dawn darkness, some still in their nightclothes. Emergency sirens echoed through coastal towns as authorities ordered immediate evacuations to higher ground. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, PTWC, issued alerts for a wide swath of the Pacific Basin, including Japan, Hawaii, Guam, the Northern Mariana Islands, Alaska, British Columbia, and the entire U.S. West Coast. Officials cautioned that the intensity and height of tsunami waves would vary by location, but warned that hazardous wave activity and strong, unpredictable currents could reach coastlines thousands of kilometers from the epicenter. These waves, even when relatively small, could inundate low-lying areas, damage ports, and pose life-threatening risks to anyone near the shore.
Все, завод тонет.
In Japan, authorities acted swiftly, issuing tsunami warnings for much of the country's eastern coastline, particularly northern regions such as Hokkaido and Tohoku. Local governments instructed residents in flood-prone coastal areas to evacuate without delay. Train services were suspended as a precaution. Schools and public offices were closed, and emergency shelters were opened to accommodate evacuees. Although the first waves to arrive were not catastrophic in size, the Japan Meteorological Agency emphasized that additional waves could follow, possibly stronger, and that no coastal area could be considered safe until advisories were officially lifted. Elsewhere across the Pacific, nations including Australia, the Philippines, Papua New Guinea, New Zealand, and Ecuador maintained a state of heightened alert. While forecasters did not expect large-scale destructive tsunamis for most of these areas, the vast energy released by the earthquake warranted precautionary measures across the entire region. In the Kuril Islands and parts of Russia's Far East, rising sea levels caused flooding in some ports, forcing temporary closures of harbor facilities and suspension of fishing operations. Authorities also warned of the likelihood of significant aftershocks in the days ahead, some potentially exceeding magnitude 6.5. These tremors could further compromise already weakened buildings and infrastructure, complicating rescue efforts and recovery operations. Emergency services urged residents to remain vigilant, avoid damaged structures, and follow instructions from Russia's Ministry of Emergency Situations and local disaster response agencies. Experts noted that this earthquake was a stark reminder of the devastating power of natural disasters and the vulnerability of coastal populations around the Pacific Ring of Fire, a region known for intense seismic and volcanic activity. The incident underscored the critical importance of robust early warning systems, well-practiced evacuation procedures, and international cooperation in mitigating the impacts of major geological events.
Because a tsunami warning has been issued. Operation has been suspended because a tsunami warning has been issued.
Although rapid alerts and prompt evacuations are believed to have prevented the worst-case tsunami scenarios in many countries, the situation remained volatile. The risk of powerful aftershocks, localized tsunamis, and secondary hazards, such as landslides or infrastructure failures, remain significant. Governments, scientists, And emergency planners are expected to continue closely monitoring seismic activity in the coming weeks, working together to assess ongoing risks and safeguard millions of residents living across the vast Pacific region.
Nature doesn't send us warnings, but we can. Floods, earthquakes, wildfires, and storms are striking harder and faster than ever before. By subscribing, you are not just watching, you are joining a movement to stay alert, stay informed, and helps others to do the same. Hit the subscribe now because the next disaster won't wait, and neither should you. Be ready and be aware.